Friends, some events in this world are so tangled that the more we try to solve them, the more confusing they become.
Today's story is based on one such true event, which sounds ordinary on the surface but is truly terrifying in reality.
Is a tale from an old neighborhood in Mumbai, where the silent walls still bear witness to a bloody past.
The story begins with the Kulkarni family, who were living a happy life until a single letter changed everything forever. Ashok Kulkarni was an honest government employee who suddenly received transfer orders to the bustling city of Mumbai. His wife, Lata, a simple homemaker, began packing their bags, weaving dreams of a new life in the big city. Their daughter, Vedika, was the most excited, as studying and working in Mumbai had been her childhood dream. After a long journey, evening had fallen when their taxi finally stopped in front of the building in Mumbai. The building looked like it was from the British era, with faded paint and windows that resembled dark, hollow eyes.
As soon as they stepped out of the taxi, a strange, cold gust of wind hit them, despite the humid weather. Vedika looked up toward the third floor of the building, and for some unknown reason, a shiver ran down her spine.
She hesitated and asked her father, "Papa, the area is fine, but doesn't this building look too old and strange?"
Ashok wiped sweat from his forehead and smiled. "Son, finding a house this big near the office is a miracle."
After a long journey, evening had fallen when their taxi finally stopped in front of the building in Mumbai. As they carried their luggage up the stairs, the creaking sound of the old wood made the atmosphere even more mysterious. As Ashok unlocked and pushed the door open, a strange, musty smell wafted out, as if the house had been closed for years. The house was quite spacious inside, but a thick layer of dust covered everything, and cobwebs hung in every corner.
Lata looked around and said encouragingly, "Don't worry, give me 2 days and I will make this place shine like a palace."
Vedika took her bag and walked toward her room, which was the last room across a long, dark hallway.
When she opened the door, the heavy curtains were swaying gently, even though all the windows were tightly shut. She opened the window to let fresh air in and started cleaning immediately so she could sleep there that night.
During cleaning, her eyes fell on the lower part of the wall, where she saw some strange, crooked red lines.
She looked closer and realized the lines looked like scratch marks made by the nails of an animal or a human.
Vedika muttered, "What is this? It looks like dried blood." And her heart skipped a beat for a moment. Then she shook her head. "No, Vedika. It's an old house. Surely kids might have ruined the wall with red paint."
Night had fallen, and everyone ate dinner together. But an unknown burden and tension hung heavy in the house's atmosphere.
Exhausted, Ashok and Lata went to their room, and Vedika also retired to her room to get some sleep.
It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and the sound of barking dogs in the street suddenly stopped, leaving a deep silence. Vedika was in a deep sleep when a strange sound suddenly woke her up.
Scrape, scrape, scrape.
The sound was coming from directly underneath her bed, as if someone was scratching the wooden floor with sharp nails.
Vedika's heart jumped to her throat. She held her breath and stared wide-eyed into the pitch-black darkness.
The sound continued persistently. Scrape, scrape, as if something was desperately trying to claw its way out.
With a trembling hand, she turned on her mobile torch, gathered her courage, and slowly peeked under the bed.
There was nothing under the bed except dust and old shoes, and the scratching sound stopped abruptly.
She had just sighed in relief when the same sound started coming from the roof, like someone running with heavy steps.
Mom and Dad are asleep, so who could be running on the roof this late at night?
Her throat was dry from thirst and fear, so she decided to go to the kitchen to get some water.
She stepped out of the room quietly. The hallway was pitch dark, and the silence was so loud she heard her heartbeat.
The kitchen light was on ahead. Seeing that light gave her some courage, thinking perhaps her mother was awake.
But as soon as she reached the kitchen door, The bulb fused with a loud pop sound, plunging everything into darkness. Vedika immediately turned on her torch. The beam of light swept across the kitchen, but no one was there. She turned toward the fridge to grab a water bottle, when suddenly the torch flickered off, then on, then off again. When the torch lit up the third time, her mother Lata was standing right next to the fridge, facing the wall.
Mom? What are you doing here in the dark?
Vedika asked, her voice trembling with fear and confusion.
The figure slowly began to turn, but before Vedika could see the face, the shadow dissolved into thin air.
A terrified scream escaped Vedika's mouth, echoing through the entire house, and she collapsed onto the floor.
Ashok and Lata rushed in panic, turned on the lights, and found Vedika shivering uncontrollably on the ground.
Vedika cried and explained.
I saw Mom. She was standing right here. But that thing wasn't Mom.
Lata hugged her. Child, I was sleeping in my room. You must have hallucinated. This place is new to you.
Ashok checked the roof and windows for reassurance, but there was no one, only the sound of the old wind.
The next morning, the sunlight reduced the fear of the night. Ashok left for the office and Vedika for an interview. Now Lata was alone at home. She was cooking lunch when suddenly the doorbell rang.
She wiped her hands and opened the door, but the staircase outside was empty. No one was there.
Maybe some kid is playing a prank, she thought, closing the door and returning to the kitchen.
5 minutes later, the bell rang again, this time longer and louder, as if someone was pressing the button impatiently. Lata went angrily and opened the door quickly, but outside there was only the same emptiness and silence.
Suddenly, a massive bang shook the door behind her. Subscribe now to watch part 2 tomorrow.